What it do, golf fans? Welcome back to the Turn to Ours Golf Podcast. This is Liam. Alongside me is half of a Jack. He's here in body, maybe a little less in mind. Work days, corporate life is kicking both of our butts a little bit. But Jack, Worldwide Technology Championships, Austin Eckroat, winner. What you think of the week?
Boring.
Yeah, that's.
I love to say that. Listen. It's 2 weeks in a row where I've said, this is the most boring golf in the physical world. And you're going to get, off-color Savage Jack tonight because what time is it? It's 8:20.
Yeah, it's 8:20.
And 14 hours already, and I have to do more work after this. I've slammed beers. Life is just grand. But so boring. Who cares? Austin Eckroat, I've been following this guy for, almost a decade. You can actually quote that.
Yeah, it's not exciting.
I didn't care. Great. Justin Lauer, a guy that finished second, shot 7 under, fantastic, amazing round. He's going to go miss 4 of his next 7 cuts. It just, I don't know. I was bored, honestly.
Jack, not to burst your bubble, but you're going to get the exact same freaking thing this week, too. It's going to be no different next Monday when we hop on a pod call, because admittedly, these last 2 or 3 tournaments, and then this tournament and next week's tournament are all basically the same thing. They all are just repeats. What?
Don't you dare disrespect the hero like that.
Well, Heroes in the second or third tournament from now. That's right. All right, so the Heroes a little when it actually starts getting different.
You got RSM Chump Change Classic. Then you got the Hero, which will be fun because it's literally just the best players in the world that are just are just tooling around, which would be nice. Then you have Grant Thornton, which has changed names 25 times over the course of its career. And then you finally get golf at the Century. So the 2 of the next 3 events, you just got to tough out.
I don't know why I was thinking it was going. I was including Butterfield because in my mind I had Butterfield, and then RSM, and then Grant Thornton, and then Hero. But you're right. I think the Hero is sandwiched in the middle of them. So you're right. It's not the worst golf in the world for the next 3 tournaments. It's bad tournament, Hero, bad tournament, then the Century.
Yeah, and speaking of butter, I just read today that Aunt Jemima is coming back and putting their syrup back in stock. If you were a kid and you had Aunt Jemima butter syrup, woo!
Oh man, what a random pull. Okay.
Can't pass my head right now.
Okay. All right. I will say again, Austin Eckroat with the win. Congratulations to him. Now you get to go play in the Century and finish, 10th to last or whatever it is. And normally this is where I would sit here and be notable guys to miss the cut. Notable guys to miss the cut. Matthijs Schmidt. Technically, that's really it. There you go. There's your notable guys to miss the cut.
Than that. It was Taylor Moore, Neil Shipley, Patton Kazire, Johnny Vegas, K.H. Lee. Didn't Keith Mitchell miss the cut too?
Yeah, Keith Mitchell missed it as well. Sorry, I could include him on that. The other names are, I don't. You can't call those notable names to miss the cut.
No,
there's just not that many big names. I mean, Cam Young withdrew, Keith Mitchell and Matthijs Schmidt missed the cut. Those are the big 3 that stand out for people who missed the cut. Outside of that, if somebody else missed the cut for you, they probably weren't that important anyways. Some lowest priced options that Jack and I were kind of all over this week. Hold on to your butt cheeks because there's a lot of them. Wesley Bryant was T6. Harry Higgs was T30. Joe Highsmith was 5th. Austin Eckroat was a winner. Jacob Bridgman was T14. And then we were both over, I was all over Matthijs Schmidt missing the cut. Just to highlight that, he had 18% ownership on all of FanDuel plays this week, and over 20% ownership on DraftKings. So if you didn't have him, like I told you not to have him, you probably won some money this week because a lot of other people did. Notable misses, if you want to call them notable, I really could only find 2 of them. Neil Shipley, who missed the cut, it's technically notable. And then Austin Hitt, who Jack and I had kind of had a bit of a viewpoint on amongst the two of us in some DFS lineups. But I think we can both agree that although that's a miss, it's chump change comparatively. So
Very minute miss.
yeah, exactly. Jack, how'd your lineups do this week?
Listen, you asked me this 4 minutes ago before we start recording. I actually just closed all my tabs on accident. Just know that we won money in DraftKings. I didn't know that Cam Young withdrew in FanDuel, so I didn't edit it, and so I did not win money there because I was dead.
Yeah, you had a really good DraftKings lineup. FanDuel lineup was actually pretty good outside of the fact that Cam Young was still in the lineup.
4, 6, 24, something like that.
Yeah, and then I think one other guy in like the 60s, so not bad. On my lineups, I did really good on DraftKings. I won some good money there. Ben Griffin, T24, Maverick McNeely, T6, Harry Hall, T14, Jacob Bridgman, T14, Joel Highsmith, 5th, and then Austin Hitt, miscut. FanDuel, it's again, similar lineup. Harry Hall, T14, Maverick McNeely, T6, Ben Griffin, T24, Rico Hoey, T45, S.H. Kim missed the cut, and then Austin Hitt also missed the cut. Looking back on it, I would have loved to have switched S.H. Kim out for somebody, but it happens. So, how did your bets do last week, Jack?
We won money, ladies and gentlemen. We finally did it this year. It's still a small amount for my standards, but it's still a win. Wesley Bryan, top 40, plus 125. We had JJ Spawn, top 30. And then, like, the pick of all picks. I should have put like 1,000 units on it. I didn't. But Adam Svensson over Roger Bus Sloan. That was at minus 200. Losses were Vince Whaley at T40, which I thought was a lock, and then Neil Shipley, who missed the cut. But up a little over half a unit, 0.55 to be exact. So we're still down 3 units in 2024, which is disgusting by my standards.
I mean, if you put 1,000 units on Adam Svensson over Roger Sloan, though, he manages to like shoot 12 over, right? Like if you were to do something crazy like that, he would. Okay, just checking, making sure you knew that if for whatever reason you did that, it was going to come back and bite you in the ass. So, all right, for my bets, I went 2-1-1. One of them ended up voiding because the guys tied. So my tie was Martin Trainer over Paul Barjan. Paul Barjan shot 7 over the first day and then shot 6 under on the second day to tie Martin Trainer, which sucks. So that one voided. I had Harry Hall over Mathai Schmidt at minus 105. That was a win. I had Jacob Bridgman top 30 at plus 125. That was a win. And then I had Rico Hoey T30. He was T16 to start the day on Monday and shot 2 over on Sunday. So he ended up finishing again T45. That was a loss. Overall, I am a positive 1.2 units on the week, which is fine. So for the year, I am up 5.63 units, which I think is 15 units up to comparatively to what I was already last year. So
let's do it.
So we just got to keep that momentum going for me, because I'm pretty sure the Century last year I was already down 15 units at that point. So
ideal.
Yeah. So right now I'm doing a little bit better than I was then. How'd your winners do last week, Jack?
I had JJ Spawn, who finished 30th, and then Vince Whaley, who finished somewhere outside like the 40th. I think he was like 50th or something like that.
Yeah, somewhere in the 50s. I remember that. Not bad. I had Rico Hoey, who finished T45, and then Daniel Berger, who finished T20. I'm not mad at a T20 finish from Daniel Berger in a winner's pick. I mean, like, I don't know when I'm using him the rest of the year. So like a T20 in a field like this where you didn't know who you were getting, I'm not pissed. I'm not too mad at it. And then wild card. I know you had a crazy one last week. You said you were going to buy a house or something if it hit. Whatever.
Tom Hoagie did not hit a hole-in-one.
Damn. Okay. All right. Just curious. My wild card pick was Mathai Schmidt to miss the cut at plus 333. Winner. So we love that. I'm now, I think, 2 for 5 on picking wild cards for the year. So not bad, all things considered. So cool. With that, Jack, are we moving on to the Butterfield Bermuda Championship?
Is that a question or a statement?
No, just making sure there was nothing else you wanted to talk about there. All right, we'll do that. We were playing the Butterfield Bermuda Championship at Port Royal Golf Course in Bermuda. This course is a par 71, totaling only 6,800 yards. Last year's winner was Camilo Villegas. Being a par 71 with a 6,800 yard course, it's going to be one of the shortest courses that is regularly played on the PGA Tour. Depending on where you look, somebody might be like, hey, this course is, 6750. And it's like, well, do they play that year in and year out? Probably not. The biggest defense on this golf course is the wind. I don't know. I can't play weatherman here on a Monday to tell you how bad the weather is going to be. It doesn't look horribly atrocious for this week. But keep an eye on Wednesday and see how the weather looks. That might play an effect on who makes the cut. If the weather is bad, Friday afternoon or Thursday morning comparatively to the rest of the day. But again, it's too early for me to be able to play weatherman. With it being such a short course, this event is all about driving accuracy and putting. Driving distance gives you more or less no advantage here, in my personal opinion and based on the metrics at hand. If they drive the ball a little further, that's great, but they also need to be even more of a straighter hitter when it comes to the golf ball. So again, the key metrics you're looking for is driving accuracy and putting. So you will see a lot of names here that generally are not that great on other courses that tend to, what's the word, like pop off here or like have spike weeks. I will say a name now, just for example, like Brendan Todd, who is known for missing a lot of cuts because he's not a long hitter of the golf ball, usually does really well on courses like this because he's an extremely accurate hitter of the golf ball off the tee. So keep in mind for guys like that this week. Cool. All right, Jack. We are getting right into DraftKings pricing. Let's start with the two guys right at the top in the 10K range. We are going to Seamus Power and Mackenzie Hughes. What you like this week?
Could you explain to me, like, am I allowed to say Mackenzie Hughes shouldn't be here?
I would have said the exact same thing. So yes, you are very much allowed to say that he doesn't deserve to be here.
Good. Yes. I am not dumb in saying that he's had two spectacular performances back to back. I don't understand why still 10K when you have a guy below him who is way higher in the OWGR and Maverick McNeely. Last time I checked, at least. And I don't know. Maybe I'm just a hater. Mackenzie Hughes is Canadian, so I'm just kidding. First of all, I'm kidding. Everybody, hold on, don't panic. Seamus Power should be the guy here. 3 of his last 4 starts have been top 13 or better, and in this course, he actually ranks number 1 in the model for people that have played at least 4 times since this event has been held, with an average finishing placement of 20.3, including a win last year. He's been almost improving every single year, and he's got a strokes gain average. Let me check my notes. 4th all-time with an average of gaining 1.8 per round. So I agree with him. Literally have no idea why Mackenzie Hughes is so high. I think he should be right around 9,600 if you ask me.
Yeah, no, I looked at Mackenzie Hughes because I was like, there's got to be some sort of like statistical reason why all these sports books like him up here in 10K range. There's not really. I'll give you my information on Seamus Power. Some of it overlaps with Jack. Won this event a few tries ago. He's much more reliant on his putter than you probably would wish, but it'll definitely work on a course like this and a field like this. He's gained strokes putting in 11 of his last 12 starts, which is great, again, in a course like this. He also has 4 T13 or better finishes in his last 6 starts, so I think Jack said 3 of his last 4. It even extends to another T13 or better beyond that, which is great. So I totally understand why Seamus Power is the most expensive person in the range and in the field. Mackenzie Hughes is basically a slightly worse version as far as data goes than Seamus. He's gained on approach just 3 times in his last 10 starts, which isn't a total killer, but like, especially on a course like this, but having a decent approach is still going to be slightly important. The same can basically be said of his off the tee numbers, where he's also gained in just 3 of his last 10 starts. His putter has basically saved him because he's gained with this putter in 8 of his last 10 starts. It's not pretty. I think the main reason he's probably priced here is because he played in the Ryder Cup and therefore he just has any ounce worthy name value. Would you disagree on something like that? I mean, I think name value and him playing, not Ryder Cup, President's Cup. Sorry, I'm mixing up my cups already. But I think that is the main reason he's probably priced at 10,300. But I already think there is a drop off between Sheamus and Mackenzie Hughes.
100%. I think honestly the reality is most casual people that are going on DraftKings are going click in a guy, look at the last couple. Oh, buddy's doing good. Put him in the lineup. And I think that's what most DraftKings makes their coin no matter what, but I think that's what they're pricing right now.
If you look at it just at his DraftKings, it shows he's got 5 top 10s and he's got a fantasy points per grain of 69.1. Doesn't really tell the whole story. So it just looks a lot nicer than it actually is. But we'll see. Again, I don't love him in an event like this, but he does have the putter, which if he decides he wants to gain 8 strokes with the putter this week, he's going to be in contention. And I don't necessarily think he's going to miss the cut. I just don't think he's worth the second highest price in the field.
My big gripe is why are they not just including 2025 season stats? That's my gripe.
Well, yeah, I don't disagree there, but that's fine. All right, I think we can both agree it's Sheamus Power 1, Mackenzie Hughes 2.
100%.
Cool. 9K range we go. Maverick McNeely at 9,900 down to Andrew Putnam at 9,000.
Ben Griffin. I will say one guy and one guy only that you should watch for. It's Ben Griffin. Average finishing placement of 20th in this event. I think he's absolutely a monster. Outside of the Shriners Children's Open, his last 4 events have been 37, 11, and 22. 7th at Wyndham. And I just think he's one of the best ball strikers that's in the field. Obviously, that's a smaller pool than if you would take a major, for example. But I think he is probably the guy that is – I'll be honest. If I were to rank the odds and you were to say, Jack, go ahead and odd these guys for winners, he would actually probably be my number 1, even though odds would probably say that Sheamus Power should be 1. For me, it's Ben Griffin. If you're going to ask me what number 2 is, I probably would say Sam Stevens. Now, I know that's a little bit of a shocker of a pick comparatively, which I completely understand. But if you take a look at recent form, if you're really, really breaking it down, I know you're the stat guy. Sam Stevens always just random, much like what Bo Hostler was a couple years ago, randomly will just come off and just cruise. And since the 2025 season started, 37, 37, 23, 22, with all of his scoring average being 68, 68, 69, and 71, which in an event like this, if you're talking about a guy and his ball flight eye test is so perfectly penetrating that if the wind does arise, I think he can actually perform a lot better than the field, which, yes, that's a little bit nerdy, but I think that those 2 guys are the people that I'm looking for this week.
Yeah, I don't hate either of those guys. I have numbers on both of them as well, so I'll get into it. I have 2 other names I also like in this range. So, yeah, Ben Griffin, 9,700. You look over the past week, he played superb the first 3 days of the tournament at Cabo, gaining nearly 9 strokes total. And then on Sunday, he lost 4 strokes to the field, which was kind of brutal. He still finished, I think, top 40. He's beginning to show a trend of having 2 to 3 really good rounds in the tournament and then kind of giving things away in that 4th round. It's almost Patrick Cantlay-esque of this past summer, where he'd have 3 really good rounds and then 1 bad. One thing to note, Bermuda greens are by far his best putting surface based on last 24 rounds on each putting surface. As Jack said, he's got finishes of T3 and T37 here in his 2 starts, which I think you said his average finish is like T20. So I'm very okay going to Ben Griffin if you can fit him in. Justin Lauer, if you want somebody who's extremely good at Port Royal, then Justin may be your guy. He's played this event 3 times and has finishes of T17, T8, and T20. He's also coming off a T2 finish in Cabo, like Jack and I commented earlier. The only question with Lauer, when have you ever seen him do a back-to-back good finish? I'll tell you, it's been a while. So I don't love the chances. He's gained strokes putting in 11 of his last 12 starts, but has also lost strokes gained tee to green in each of his last 3. He is a high-risk, high-reward play this week. I think if you are in a single entry top 10% wins, Lauer's probably a good choice to differentiate yourself. If you were playing a bit of a safe 50-50 play, I would probably avoid it and go to Ben Griffin. Sam Stevens, who Jack mentioned, he has had a spectacular fall season so far as an impressive T6 at Cabo. In his last 5 starts, the fall swing basically are all finishes within the top 40. The only challenge has been his approach in the last 2 starts, but outside of approach, he's gained across the bag in all strokes gained metrics. And again, I think he'll be a very solid choice if you want to get to him this week. Usually he's a little better on longer courses, but again, this field is weak enough, I don't think it'll matter. And then Andrew Putnam at 9,000, I'm going to talk about. He's played in 4 events this fall, if you include the Alfred Dunhill Championship, which is a European tour where he finished T25. He's played well in all 4 events. He's gained in all statistical categories outside of off the tee. The main reason he loses on strokes gained off the tee is because he actually ranks 181st on the PGA Tour in driving distance, going a little over 275 yards. One thing to note, though, his driving accuracy is 39th on tour with a 65.2% accuracy. So he just doesn't hit the ball very far. But outside of that, I think he's a very good player. Otherwise, he's got good approach and good putting. I'm very high on Putnam this week.
Fair enough.
All right. Do you have a ranking for guys in the 9K range, like a top 3, or is it just top 2, Griffin and Stevens?
Confidence-wise, Griffins and Stevens are my 1 and 2.
Okay.
I guess if you were to force me to go number 3,
McNeely.
Doug Gim can randomly pop off, but that might be emotional bias.
Okay, I thought you would have gone McNeely, so that's fair though. For me, I'd probably go. I think I'd go Putnam 1, Griffin 2. Oh, and then I got to choose between Lauer and Stevens. We'll say Stevens again. The fact that it's a shorter course and a little different than the rest of the courses he's played is slightly concerning, but we'll give it a chance. I definitely think for me, Putnam and Griffin are top 2 pretty far and away. So, all right, 8K range we go. We have Daniel Berger at 8,900 all the way down to Jacob Bridgman at 8,000. One name to note, Joel Highsmith is out this week. He is listed at 8,200. He is, in fact, not in the field. So get him out of your lineups.
Get him out. I think this, with a grain of salt, might be a breakout week for Daniel Berger. At one point in his career, he was obviously 12th in the official World Golf Rankings, Ryder Cup, President's Cup member, and winner. And he is a Floridian, which is really important here. To my knowledge, I don't think he's played here. But in recent tournaments where like 20 under or better has been the winning score, he has played a lot better than what he should have, especially taking a look at where he was in terms of his injury. In his last 16 rounds, he's had 65, 65, 67, 65, 65, 67, 67, 66, and 64, and ranks in the top 25 of strokes gained with current form. If he can start tournaments a little quicker, I think he can put himself in contention. Obviously, we are still waiting for Daniel Berger to kind of go back to old form, but I think this may be an event that I think he surpasses the expectations that have been set on him. So he's definitely got my target in the 8K range.
Yeah, I'll say this. I took him as a winner last week. If I didn't take him as a winner last week, I don't hate going back to him again this week as a winner. If people have interest in that, I will be honest. I don't have him as a winner's pick this week. Jack, I don't think you do either. But if you are out there and you are in some sort of a tournament or event where you have to pick winners, Daniel Berger is not going to be the most popular choice on the planet, and I think he's a very viable option to use as a winner's pick this week. So I will mention Brendan Todd. If you want to be a true course history guru, do not look at his recent form because you may need a barf bag if you do so. But if you want somebody who's designed for this type of course, you are looking at a prime example. He's lost over 20 strokes on approach in each of his last 4 starts, including losing over 11 strokes at the Zozo. I am not getting to him personally, and he's been playing awful. But if you want somebody who's extremely accurate off the tee, now I'm talking like top 5 accuracy on tour, top 3 in this field, Brendan Todd fits that mold. But I think also at a certain point you need to realize the form is ugly. So he will probably make the cut. Is that something I'm looking towards? No. So keep that in mind. I'll keep going, Jack, and let me know if you need me to stop. Mark Hubbard, I actually think he's pretty similar to Andrew Putnam when it comes to losing off the tee. He's 143rd on the PGA Tour in driving distance at 288.5 yards, but is 23rd in driving accuracy at 66.68%. He isn't the same level of form as he was this past summer. He had that streak of like 17 made cuts in a row. But again, I'm not too worried about going back to him in a weak field. I think he's very viable at 8,400 if you want to go back to this well. I do think there's kind of a limited upside with Hubbard where he'll probably finish somewhere in the realm of 20 to 40. And some of these guys have more of a chance to win, like a Jacob Bridgman at 8,000. He's less of a flashy name than he's been in for a while because he's actually playing quite well recently. He's gained with the putter in 8 of his last 10 starts. During that stretch of last 10 starts, he's got 4 top 20 or better finishes. He's 87th on the tour in driving distance, but he's 24th on tour in driving accuracy, actually right behind Hubbard. One thing to note is that Bridgman is top 30 or better in 4 different approach numbers, which are all going to be nice this week. 75 to 100 yards, 125 to 150, and 150 to 175 are all included in that top 30, which is going to cover a lot of approach shots this week, considering it's a shorter course. Cool. Anybody else stand out for you in the 8K range? I mean, Nico's been crushing it. He's been like top 10 each of the last 2 starts, including a win.
Yeah, he's been on fire, and he's definitely a guy you can go to. My only fear, DFS-wise, is that anybody that just has golf on in the background is going to see him and go, oh, cheap price, and just throw him in your lineup, and we're looking at 28% owned. That's my fear.
Yeah, I do think he's going to be high ownership. That's the same reason I would avoid him, and I like a guy like a Bridgman or Berger instead. So I get that. But if you go to Nico Echevarria, I don't blame you. I just, again, I think you'll be in the majority already on that one when it comes to the 8K range. So, all right, into the 7K range we go. Rico Hoey at 7,900, all the way down to, oh my gosh, is that Brandon Wu at 7K? That's disgusting. Okay.
Well, why don't you sit back and relax, because Grayson Sigg is about to finish 8th place, and quote me here.
Yep.
He's playing some really good golf on the fall stretch, and I love him. He's one of my favorite Georgia Bulldogs, especially around the golf scene. He is actually a resident around the area, and this week and next week at the RSM Classic are considered his home events. But this has been his best period on tour, and strokes gained perspective, he has actually been dominating. 4th at the Pro Cure, 11th at the Black Desert, 23rd at the Shriners. He's top 10 in strokes gained for current form heading into Bermuda, and he's actually ranking number 6 heading into the final round of all players in the PGA Tour that have played at least twice. So I think that he's actually really, really underpriced here, and especially with the weaker field, I think he can really surpass this. He's also gained top 25 in strokes gained tee degree in 3 of his last 4 PGA Tour starts that were ranked in the individual field. So I think if he can finish in that top 25 for a 4th event, he's going to surpass this number at 7,800, which is just right above my made cut price mark.
Yeah, I kind of love Grayson Sigg as well. Here's the notes I had for him. Keep an eye out for a guy like Grayson Sigg on the leaderboard this week. In his 4 fall swing starts, he has finishes of T4, miscut, T11, and T23. He's gained in all statistical categories outside of the 1 week he missed the cut where he lost on approach, and he missed the cut on the number. He's really figured out his putter, which he had struggled for a while. Since the start of the fall swing, he's the 3rd best player in the field in strokes gained by tournament. So that means, like, you know, I'm not going to break it down any farther. 3rd best in field strokes gained by tournament should be pretty self-explanatory. So I'm also pretty high on Grayson Sigg. I'm probably stealing one of your guys here, Jack, but I'm going to talk about Wesley Bryan. If you're looking for another golfer who's also top 5 in strokes gained by tournament over the fall swing, Wesley is 4th in that list. All 4 of his starts have been T40 or better, with 3 of them being T21 or better. He's known for being very short off the tee, which is why people always, give him a lot of grief outside of the fact that he was a YouTuber. But he is also known for,
the OG YouTuber for golf. Put that out there.
yes, he was the OG. But he's known for being short off the tee, but also being extremely accurate. Game suits this field and this event really well. So I think, what is he, 7,500? There you go. Made cut machine. That's the number.
Let me tell you, he's surpassing that.
I agree.
He was tied for third at the halfway mark at last week's event. Let me just be honest. The case for Brian this week is just incredible. He's actually ranked 128th in the FedEx Fall Cup Series. Top 125 are in full-fledged PGA Tour cards, so he really needs a big event here. But in the same style conditions as was projected, he was a winner at Harbortown a couple years ago, and he's played a lot of golf on coastal conditions this year so far. 37th last year in this event, and coming into this week, he's actually in the top 3 for strokes gained in current form. What's really big here is we're actually about 600 yards shorter than last week, where he kind of lacklustered on that Sunday, which was really disappointing to see. But I think that with this conditions, with it being a shorter course, and with the field that we have, we are going to see another top 25 performance from Wesley Bryan. And the odds for even top 40 are ridiculous, and I'd hammer those while you can, because I envision potentially a top 25 finish.
Yeah. Outside of those two names for me in the 7K range, I'm not a very big fan of a lot of other names. I don't know about you. I think there's going to be a lot of duds in this range, but who's your last guy?
You're not going to predict it. It's a guy I've crapped on.
Rio? No. Nate Lashley.
No, I literally hope he falls in the ocean. Joel Damon. Joel Damon has never played this event before, but in coastal courses, he ranks 9th in all of PGA Tour in the last 6 years. That's across every single player in the PGA Tour. Now, Joel is also fighting for his full-fledged PGA Tour, as I think he was either 120 or 121. My notes are smudged over here. He finished 14th last week at El Cardenal, which is his best finish since the RBC Canadian Open in June. What is really nice, I think he found some confidence. Now, 7,500 for Joel Damon is very questionable. It's still a little high. But if you scroll down $200, there's people that if you don't watch golf, you're probably like, who the heck is this? And I think for a guy like Joel Damon, which 7,500, just for you guys if you're tuning in for the first time, is like my DraftKings number for like, this guy needs to make a cut to make his ends, like make his money. If he makes a cut, I'm happy. Anything under that, over that, we obviously progress in terms of what I'm looking for. I think he's going to make the cut here. I really sit in terms of what he has the capabilities to do this week. And over the past 5 years, he ranks 3rd on coastal courses that have at least 6 miles an hour of wind, which is a really weird stat. I don't even remember how I found that, to be honest, because it's been a day. But that's such a weird stat and such a weird price. And he had a dominant week that I just feel like we have a little bit of magic in that windy ocean. So 7,500, I'm looking for it.
I'll say this. I got one other name, and I really am not pushing you towards him at all. This is like a true, like, last guy to make the cut kind of deal.
Kigo.
What's up?
Tell me why it's Garrett Kigo.
I was going to say Lanto Griffin. He's made his last 6 cuts. One of them is a T10. It's not pretty. It's not effective. He's really not that accurate of a hitter. But he's just a legitimate PGA Tour player in an otherwise weak event. So I, if you want to get to him, I understand why. Garrett Kigo is not that guy. I think he's missed like 6 of his last eight starts as far as missing cuts. What's up?
He dominated last week, though. I think he was like 5th place.
Did he really? Jeez. Okay. Well, prior to that, he was T54, miscut, T26, miscut, T42, miscut. Yeah, there you go. Garrett Kigo, the champion of them all. So, again, I do not recommend it, but if you're really locked in and you need a guy to make a cut, I think Lanto Griffin will make more likely of a cut than most of the other names in this range. Into the 6K range we go, and cover your eyes when you do so. Be warned.
I'm not putting any single human being monetary value on anybody below 7K, but there's two guys that'll be fun to watch. One is if like you didn't live under a rock, like Miles Russell, who I would say is 17 now, somehow got into another event. Watch for another cut. Christo Lamprecht, longest hitter in DP World Tour history. Outside of like anybody that's competed in long drive, he's like 6'7", got a funky swing. If you want to see a guy with effortless power, he will outdrive Bryson DeChambeau. He is a monster from South Africa. If you look at his OWGR profile and you look at his recent form, miscut, fourth, miscut. It is so bad. I literally do not know how he got here. Don't bet him, but he'll be fun to watch for at least 2 rounds.
Yeah, Christo Lamprecht is definitely an interesting one. He will be tough to miss.
Luke Schneiderhan's younger brother of Ollie Schneiderhan's, who's a successful story.
There you go. I'll mention Miles Russell. If you want to see something fun, Miles Russell is an interesting option. He's yet to make a cut. He's got 2 starts, one on the PGA Tour, one on the Korn Ferry Tour. What's up?
He made a cut.
Not last year.
Really?
I don't think he made a cut. I have 2 listed starts for him, one on the PGA Tour, one on the Korn Ferry Tour, and he missed both of them. Unless it was like last fall swing that wasn't listed, because it's technically now like over a year ago. I'm sure there's some semantics behind it.
Hold on. Keep going, okay. Bro. Go back.
Got it. Considering the fact that he's like 17, he is quite short off the tee, which again makes a lot of sense, but he does have a 64.3% driving accuracy, which is slightly above average on the PGA Tour. So that's not the worst thing of all time.
He also, for all the golf nerds, don't come at Liam. He meant to say that played a PGA Tour event, not on the PGA Tour, because he's still an AM. Just for everybody.
Sorry. Yes. Yeah. That have made. Yeah. Yes. Thank you. I appreciate that. Again, that's slightly above average. I wouldn't rely on him for big money lineups, but if you're in a DFS lineup with like a friend, or you don't mind losing like $1 in a double up, something like that you don't mind about, or you want to fit a bunch of big names in, there's worse options than Miles Russell. He's actually second in this field when it comes to strokes gained tee to green versus everybody else in the field. He's one of the only ones that doesn't lose strokes to everybody else in this field, which is kind of funny. The number 1 guy is actually Richie Werenski, which is just not a pretty name. Don't go to it. But he's the only golfer outside of Miles Russell who's gained strokes gained total of the field in the past 36 rounds. He's primarily played on the Korn Ferry Tour, which is probably part of the reason those metrics are skewed in his favor. But again, a weak field. If you have to, at least he's not the worst option in this range. Overall, I would do your best to avoid a bunch of people in here. One other note, if you want players who are in really I'm talking really bad form, like similar to like Garrick Higgo levels of bad form we talked about at 7,200, but are extremely accurate hitters off the tee in the 6K range, I've got 2 names. And again, I will preface, they've been playing some of the worst golf on the PGA Tour. Kelly Craft and Ches Reavie are their names. They're some of the shortest hitters on tour, but they both have top 10 level accuracy. Ches Reavie hits the fairway on 74.7% of drives, and Kelly Craft does it on 72.8% of drives. Again, neither of them make cuts consistently. I'm not telling you to go to them, but they're not the worst option if you're stuck in these ranges.
Ches Reavie's a dog.
That as well, yes. Ches Reavie
played a yellow ball for a little bit, so I don't like him that much.
Well, yeah, and again, I'm not telling you to go to them, but if you are stuck down here and you just want to follow that rule of accuracy, those are guys to go to. I just go to Miles Russell's low personally. At least that way you got something fun to watch. You can watch the 17-year-old. So, all right, DraftKings. Try and make a cut at a golf tournament, Jack. Get your mind out of the gutter, kid. God damn. All right, kid. Walk through your DraftKings lineup and get out of here. Come on.
Boy. Sorry, I had to do it. Ben Griffin, 9,700. Daniel Berger, 8,900. Nico Echevarria, 8,600. I have Grayson Sigg, 7,800. Joel Damon, 7,500. And Wesley Bryan, 7,500. Basically, every single person we talked about, you're welcome.
Yeah, that's one of the more balanced lineups I'm pretty sure I've ever seen, and I'm sure it will win money this week. I did not go that route. I went the top heavy route for the fun of it. So I have Seamus Power 10,500, Andrew Putnam at 9,000, Mark Hubbard at 8,400, Jacob Bridgman at 8,000, Wesley Bryan at 7,500, and then Miles Russell at 6,600. I love the first five guys. Miles Russell, maybe mixed cut. Who knows?
What, in the video game PGA Tour?
Well,
my FanDuel lineup this week, because I don't need to give a shade to a 17-year-old. Very similar. I have Ben Griffin, 11,300. Sam Stevens, 10,700. Daniel Berger, 10,300. I have Grayson Sigg, 9,500. Nico Echevarria, 9,400. And Wesley Bryan, 8,800.
There you go. You went balanced again. For me, again, I went more top heavy than that. I have Seamus Power, 11,900. Ben Griffin, 11,300. Andrew Putnam, 10,000. Jacob Bridgman, 9,800. Wesley Bryant, 8,800. And then Kelly Craft at 8,200. Not pretty, but again, I like the top five. All right, over to bets. How many bets you got this week, Jack?
I have 4 because...
If that tells people how many bets to put this week, don't put that many. If Jack is a degenerate bettor and he's only got 4, that means don't bet that much.
Exactly. Number 1, Wesley Bryan, top 40, plus 115. I told you guys earlier, I anticipate him getting top 25. Like, I would feel comfortable if you guys took a unit on top 40, 3/4 of a unit on top 30, and maybe a quarter unit on top 20 and kind of separate it that way. Because if he does hit top 40, you're hitting your number. I love it. I think that he's going to be a big play this week. I have Grayson Sigg, top 40, also at plus 115. I think he's going to surpass that number as well. At one point, I had the letters DB minus 165 because I literally had not had any time. And thank gosh I had my bet saved. Daniel Berger, top 40, minus 165. He's another one of those guys that I think could surpass this number easily. But I really just want to catch up to 0 on units before I get carried away. And then Ben Griffin, top 30, is minus 170. Again, I think he's going to finish on the leaderboard come Sunday. But if you're giving me over half a unit on victory-wise for units, I'm going to take that each and every time. But again, each of these guys, if you want to be a little more, because a lot of people, I'm going to be honest, they skim to the bets and they hear like, the number one comment I get is like, why are you betting minus 170s? Well, number one, I'm up 150 units over the last 2 years. So why don't you shut your trap? Number 2, if you want to be a little riskier, bet my bets, but riskier. Like all of these people, I have 3 top 40s and a top 30. You could do 1 top 20 and 3 top 30s, and I guarantee you a couple of them are going to hit. So
I do think, by the way, Grayson Sigg's top 30 odds right now, I think are like plus 125 because I almost threw him in at a top. Yeah, I almost threw him in on a top 30 bet, and I looked at it and I was like, dang, it's only plus 125 now. Like that sucks. So it's definitely adjusted since your morning coffee, that's for sure. And we'll blame the morning coffee on you. On that's why the only reason you had DB listed there. As well. But again, I like a lot of those bets, and I'm quite a fan. So I am doing 4 bets as well this week. Don't be mad, but 3 of the 4 of them are minus money. One's close to 0. Martin Laird over Graham Robertson is minus 105. Martin Laird's PGA Tour player, and literally couldn't find any information on Graham Robertson. Graham Robertson might have pulled him off the street. I'm sure Jack knows him from some sort of like 17th level World Tour tournament that I don't know of, but yeah, Graham Robertson. Good luck, but yeah, Martin Laird minus 105. So I got that one. I have Andrew Putnam over Andrew Novak at minus 120. I have Justin Lauer over Sam Stevens at minus 105. I think that is going to be a consistency play more than anything else. And then I have Ben Griffin top 20 in round 1 at plus 175. That one you might argue why you're going with such a plus 175 number there on Ben Griffin. Remember, he has 3 really good rounds and 1 bad round. As long as that 1 bad round is not round 1, there's a high likelihood he's going to come out of the gate strong. I don't hate it if you pick him as like a first round leader. I don't hate it if you take him as a top 20 round one, but I think that's something that he could definitely, come out of the gates firing on. Cool. We going wild card picks?
Yes, sir. My wild card pick, Griggen in the top. I'm just kidding. My head today has been nuts, but Ben Griffin to be in the final group on Sunday is plus 1,300. So there's 2 things with this. One, it probably won't be a factor, but if weather becomes really bad, they might do threesomes final round, which I'm praying for. No offense, weather and people in Florida. You guys have already been hit enough. But I also think Ben Griffin is, like I said, in my opinion, the number 1 guy in this field. In my opinion, the number 1 guy in this field, if you take metrics aside, I think eyeball test for Jack says he's the number 1 guy in the field. And if you're giving me plus 1,300 just to be in the final group come Sunday for the number 1 guy, in my opinion, those are odds I have to take. Now, Don't bet a full unit on this. Don't be a dope. I'm a degenerate, but I'm a smart degenerate. Do not bet a full unit on that.
I just want everybody else to hear what Jack said. He's a fan of threesomes on the final round. He's a fan of threesomes. So it's all I heard out of that one. Oh man, my wildcard pick is Kevin Kisner, top 40 at plus 375. It is not pretty. The biggest gripe on Kisner is he has no distance off the tee, but he always does well on shorter courses. I do not recommend tailing this at all, but again, I want to keep an eye on Kiz because he.
PGA Tour. It is more likely that Tom Hoagie enrolls in this event and gets a hole-in-one than Kevin Kisner finishing in top 40.
It is a weak event with a short course. If there's any course that's now currently playing on PGA Tour, now that he can't go back to the Country Club of Austin for match play, that he's going to do well on, it would be a course like this where distance is less of a factor. That is why I'm doing it. What's up?
Don't even get me started on what kind of a dope decision that was to not do match play anymore. It's so dumb.
Well, yeah, I agree. I don't think that was a smart play. But again, if he's going to do it anywhere, he's going to do it on a short course because he's not a long hitter. So, Kiz, top 40 plus 375. All right, now that we've done that, Jack, winners, what you got this week?
Ben Griffin. Now listen, everybody. It is a trend that when Jack has him in lineups, bets, wild card, and a winner, basically means he's probably going to get run over by a train. With that being said, I am genuinely so on Ben Griffin. And last year, what did I hit? I hit 5 or 6 winners and a handful of other like top 2 and top 3.
Yeah.
If you guys, I'm not a huge better on winners. If I have a guy that I like as a winner, I'll put just so you guys know, because I'm smart, I'll put a couple $dollars on a winner just so I can watch them. But if I have guys that I like on winner, I'll honestly bet their top 5 odds because I'm a baby, but I also like to make money. They're
usually just as good too. They're always plus 1,500 depending on who you end up picking as a top 5. So
100%. Yeah, I think Ben Griffin, like I've already said 100 times, so I won't bore you guys anymore with stats on him, is the number 1 guy in this field. I think that if you're taking a look at the top 5 names and you're giving me Ben Griffin, especially at the odds that he had, my goodness, am I taking that to the bank all day, every day. Second is Grayson Sigg. Now, again, we are not like every other golf podcast in the world going, Grayson Sigg, I'll probably go Seamus Power.
Yeah.
Maverick McNeely. No. We do one big winner, one wild card, because we really need to do just 5 people and just
I mean, we can do what all the other podcasts do and just take 5 different guys a piece.
Something for people to click it. What's that called again?
Clickbait?
Clickbait. That's what it's called. Sorry, I'm not cultured. Clickbait. We should do that. Just we've hit 17 winners this year. Grayson Sigg, Georgia Bulldog, one of his home tracks. He's a monster. He's got such a great ball strike. He has just beautiful tempo. Reminds me of a prime JB Holmes. And that is a compliment if you actually know JB Holmes and how good he was a decade ago, a little longer than a decade ago. That is who he reminds me of, and I think that he can really surpass this number this week.
Jack, I've got the perfect idea. You take the top 5 guys in DraftKings. I'll take the next 5. One of them will win. We'll be all set. Easy. We'll get a winner's pick like 9 out of 10 weeks.
It was like once we got into the signature events last year, it was like 70% for like the months of May through July or something like that. Like the top 10 guys won. It was something crazy.
I was listening to another podcast, and the guy picked Scotty Scheffler every week he was in the field for 10 straight weeks. And I was like, I get it, because like he wins a lot and he's the best player in the world currently. But also, like, that's fucking boring. Like, that's so boring to do as a golf bettor. And like the odds were like plus 300 some of those weeks. Like, you're not even making an abundant amount of money picking him as a winner at that point. I would have rather picked anybody else for that top 5, like you were saying. So
I know it's almost as good as when Tiger was favored to win the Masters and his odds to win were minus. Almost as good as that. But I digress.
Yeah, absolutely. My winners, I've gone over them in other aspects of this. I'll be real quick. Andrew Putnam is somebody I'm high on, and again, I'm very okay if you want to bet him top 5. And then Jacob Bridgman is my bargain play, who feels like a pretty good bargain play, but he is about 8,000, so it works. I don't feel like I'm cheating too much playing Bridgman. So cool. All right. With that, everybody, Butterfield, Bermuda, as I stated earlier, don't bet the mortgage this week. That's for sure. This is not the tournament to do it. Next week, we will have the RSM. We'll be back in mainland on the States. So Ludwig Aubert won that tournament last year, right? Wow.
I don't remember.
Full year. Wow. I think he did, because I remember right before the Hero, everybody started talking about Ludwig.
2 years ago it was Chris Kirk. I know that.
Yeah. Ludwig won one of these fall swing events, and I think it was the RSM.
Could be.
I'm going to stand behind that, and if I'm wrong, you guys can yell at me in the comments. That's fine. But don't bet your mortgage this week. We will see you guys next week for the RSM Classic back in the States. Have a good one, and deuces.